Much of the Wye Valley is covered in woodland. To the east of the river, the vast and ancient treescape of the Forest of Dean provides the ultimate habitat for creatures that thrive among mature native trees. This is the domain of the goshawk, the expert hunter of the canopy, and wild boar. The returning natives of the forest are perfectly adapted to thrive among the trees. There's another specialist of life among the trees that can be hard to spot, but leaves clear signs of its presence, like this telltale scrape emerging from its set. I'm sure that if I look in this, somewhere I should find some badger hair. Here's one, a really long one. Here's another one. Once you get your eye in, more here. Yeah, not quite enough for a shaving brush. Fresh scrapes like these are a clear indication of an active set. Badgers are house-proud animals and regularly clean out the old bedding of leaf litter and dry grass. But seeing these animals in the flesh isn't quite so straightforward. They're mostly nocturnal creatures whose busy social lives are lived out in the woods after dark and usually well out of sight. But Keith Childs has a rare insight into their secret world, cultivated over years of patient observation.
I saw my first badger in 1966.
Keith has a deep-rooted and very personal connection with badgers.
I was on a country walk with my then girlfriend, who became my wife, and she said to me it was definitely Jane's idea that we should go for a walk into a quiet part of the woods, and there would be some badger sets that we could see there. I was immediately taken with the fascination of animals sleeping warm and dry on beds of hay underground.
For Keith and Jane, it was the beginning of a shared and enduring passion.
We continued then until we got married in 1970 and carried on then. It's still going on. Unfortunately, Jane's no longer with us. After Jane died, I got my diaries out and wrote my book of memories of badger watching, and I'm sure she would be pleased about that. So I put her name on the front cover. It is my book and hers, because we did it all together. I think she would be really, really pleased, and she'd be pleased that we were doing our bit to endear people to badgers.
Keith is born and bred in the Forest of Dean, and for a badger buff, there's no better place to be. There are more badgers per square kilometre in this part of the southwest than anywhere else in the whole of the British Isles. Badger sets are often passed on from generation to generation, and some of these underground homes can be 100 years old or more.
I discovered it about 30 years ago. This one is literally about 15 minutes walk from my back gate, so it was convenient.
One of the things that makes the Forest of Dean such prime badger country is the soil. It's low in clay, which makes for easy digging, and rich with earthworms, one of the badger's favourite foods. Keith's badger watch starts at last light, and nothing is taken for granted. To avoid them catching his scent on the breeze, he makes a regular check on the wind direction, using his own rather novel method. Hundreds of hours spent at this set have given Keith an unrivaled understanding of the badger's comings and goings. And when he's not there in person, his own night vision trail cameras keep an eye on proceedings.
by and large, there would be about 5 badgers living there. A pair, cubs, and then perhaps yearling cubs. Within the set, you do get characters. I mean, they're largely the same sort of characters that you would associate with a human family. You get Dad, who's grumpy sometimes. You get Mother, who's caring. And you get cubs who play a lot and aggravate their parents. There's a tree where the old boar comes and sits with his back against the tree and scratches his back, like this.
Keith's been watching the dynasty of badgers at this set for 3 decades. But this summer, it's fallen strangely silent, with no sign at all of its former occupants for months.
I was watching the badgers up until the end of May, and then they abandoned the set.
Their sudden disappearance is a cause of real concern for Keith. Although adult badgers don't have any natural predators here, they're at risk from disease and from humans. Some are still occasionally trapped and used for illegal badger baiting, and thousands are killed every year on our roads. So Keith is doing all he can to locate his missing badger family. And he has some special inducements.
This I'm lacing the peanuts with some runny honey.
But even with such tempting offerings, a week of waiting and watching produces no sign of them. And a check of the cameras reveal virtually every large woodland mammal except the ones he's looking for. Following a hunch, Keith rigs a camera on a more distant set, and straight away it produces the result he's hoped for. A sight of a badger that Keith knows well from the missing family. This unmistakable character is his old friend One Eye.
I went to this set about a mile away, and lo and behold, he turned up there. So there's trail cam evidence that he was moving between the 2 sets.
And it's highly likely that One Eye was not travelling alone. Badgers are highly social animals. During the summer months, entire families or clans often visit neighbouring sets, frolicking, grooming and anointing each other with the group scent. And Keith thinks that's what the missing family have been up to. But the summer socials don't last forever. At the start of autumn, Keith discovers signs of renewed activity back at the abandoned set.
So it's encouraging for us that there's every sign that there are badgers resident here. That's all been done in the last 2 weeks, which confirms that badgers have returned to the set. Here there's another main entrance, preparing new chambers. If that's true, that would be really exciting, because they're probably preparing for the winter and the birth of cubs in the spring.
It looks like Keith's badgers are back, and perhaps like him, making plans for the year ahead. Badgers sit out much of the winter underground to keep warm and save energy. But Keith's already looking forward to the sure sign that the long wait for winter to end is over.
The magic of that moment when you have waited for some time in a woodland, quiet with your thoughts, and then the first little black and white face appears at the entrance to the set. It's a moment that I've never tired of.